The next pope will be elected soon. What do you think when he comes into the church, what do you think his mindset's? I mean, depending on who it is, but I mean, when he comes and looks at the landscape of issues post-Francis, what do you think he's going to be looking at?
Well, I don't think we're going to get Francis II. I know that 80% of the cardinals going to vote for the next pope were appointed by Pope Francis, and some people logically conclude, therefore, we'll get Francis II. From what I can gather, there's a sense amongst most of the cardinals who will vote that the pendulum needs to get back to the middle.
Yeah.
That means that it's got to go in a more traditional fashion. It can't stay where it's at. It can't go to the left. There's too much confusion. When Pope Francis had to give in to the entire continent of Africa, the entire continent, because Obongo out of the Congo represented the African bishops and said, we don't go along with the idea of blessing same-sex couples, all right? We know what that means. Yeah. We're not going to go for it. He had to yield and said, okay, that's your culture. It's different. Wait. I think there's a recognition that this has alienated too many people. And again, we need clarity. There's so much moral confusion in the Catholic Church today that when you have people like Cardinal Dolan, who have mentioned it now in public here right after the Pope had passed away, people who might have been a little bit reluctant to say that because it might have been looked upon as being too critical, they're now realizing we've got to do something. I don't know who we're going to get. I do think that someone is going to recognize that we've got to bring it back to a more traditional strain. Otherwise, we're going to alienate the very people who are the heart and soul of the Catholic Church.
You had a great insight that the conclave being delayed a couple days kind of works in favor of the more traditional bishops. That's a great dynamic. Talk about that.
There's no question that the people who like the more progressive strain within the Catholic Church, they tend to be from North America and Europe overwhelmingly. They know each other already. They've been there for a long time. What Francis did was he appointed a lot of cardinals from what they call the peripheries, faraway places in Asia and Africa, in nations we would have a hard time pronouncing even the names of these nations. Yeah. These men have not met each other. They don't know each other. But they didn't become a priest because of woke politics.
Yes.
They became a priest because they felt they had a calling. Pope Francis may have appointed them, but I'll bet you in most cases they are traditionalists. There aren't too many progressives out there in these peripheries. So now the big problem is they've got to get a chance to meet each other. It begins now. And this entire week, they'll have the run of the week to meet each other and socially and then intellectually and through discussion. We had heard word that the conclave was going to begin on May the 5th, on Monday, and then it was May the 6th. Now it's Wednesday the 7th. Why does that matter? It gives an extra few days to the people who are the traditionalists who don't know each other to get to know each other and to rally around a small number of people, as the progressives will on the other side, so that we can come together. I think this favors us.
It's a fascinating point. I mean, I just love thinking about the inner dynamics, the logistics. Okay, so you have, first of all, I think it's kind of poetic justice or ironic, I don't know what the word would be, with the Pope's insistence on minorities and appointing people from the peripheries. What he ends up actually doing is something he probably didn't intend to do.
Could be unwitting.
Yeah, and so he does this, and because these people that come from these countries that know true suffering and destitution,
yeah.
the wokeness
Yeah.
of the West is just not on their radar because they're actually dealing with martyrs and people dying in the street. That's what they have to contend with. That's their pastoral work, as opposed to some Ivy League teenage girl who wants to change her gender.
Right.
You know, it's just a difference of like artificial reality versus reality. And so these cardinals from all corners of the earth, they're just by nature more traditional because they haven't been contaminated so much. You said it perfectly. But so these people, they're not hanging around on chat groups and they're not texting. No. You know, the cardinal from the Philippines isn't texting the cardinal from the Congo because they were just at the cocktail party yesterday in Germany. Like that,
Right.
that's not
Right.
what's happened, but
Right.
that's exactly what's happened with the European
Yes.
cardinals.
Yes.
They live at cocktail parties.
Right.
And so these extra couple days, an extra 48 hours.
That's important.
It's a huge difference because they're now at a super big cocktail party, you know, and they're going to be in their room. They're going to be eating dinner together. They're going to be walking through the halls. They're going to be sitting and talking, and they're going to say, yeah, you're from the Congo. I've heard about you. And they're going to, for the first time, get to know each other. And so it's that extra couple days is all the difference in the world.
I think it's a big plus for our side, and I think that if you just take a look at Africa again, I've not met him, but I've communicated with Cardinal Sarah, and I love him.
Yeah.
From Africa, but he's 79.
Yeah, he's too old.
This Obongo is 65. That's a big difference right there. Yeah. But yes, they're going to get a chance to meet each other this week, but then they get a chance to coalesce again on Monday and Tuesday of next week before they go into the conclave to vote on Wednesday the 7th.
Hey, thanks guys for checking out the Conor Gallagher Show. Please take a moment to like, subscribe, or comment, or whatever you got to do to support it. And I appreciate that very much.